don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to become that girl. You do not need a Pinterest perfect morning routine. You don't need matching workout sets. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. You don't need to suddenly love journaling, green smoothies, or running 5 miles before the sun comes up. And you definitely don't need a completely different personality. You just need a better relationship with the person you already are. I think somewhere along the way, a lot of us started believing that changing our lives meant becoming somebody else. Now, I personally don't think that's true. I believe we're supposed to grow. I believe we're supposed to become the best versions of ourselves. I believe we're supposed to discover the purpose we are created for, pursue goals that challenge us, love people, make a positive impact, and leave this world a little bit better than we found it. But becoming the best version of yourself, it isn't the same thing as becoming someone else. Those are two completely different things. And honestly, I think social media has a lot to do with that. I really, really do. Now, hear me out. I am not saying that social media is bad. I create content. I learn from other creators. There are so many people online who have literally inspired me. But somewhere along the way, we stopped using social media as a place to find inspiration and started using it as a measuring stick for who we should become. We scroll through someone's 30-second morning routine and we suddenly think our mornings just aren't good enough. We watch someone else's fitness routine and manage to convince ourselves that we're doing everything completely wrong. We see someone's perfectly curated life and somehow forget that we're looking at a highlight reel, not their everyday reality. And before we know it, we're no longer asking, who do I want to become? We're asking, how do I become more like them? And I think that's where a lot of us lose ourselves. Somewhere in that, we start confusing transformation with imitation. We start believing that if someone else's routine worked for them, that it had to become our own routine too. Some examples. If someone else woke up at 5 a.m., then essentially we need to wake up at 5 a.m. If someone meal prepped a certain way, then we need to meal prep the exact same way. If someone had a perfectly color-coded planner and an aesthetic apartment, somehow that becomes the epitome of success. And then the reality hits of realizing that we weren't building our own lives anymore. We were trying to recreate someone else's. I've been there. I've restarted health journeys more times than I can count. I've promised myself that this time would be different. I've bought the planners. I have downloaded the apps, created the perfect schedule, convinced myself that tomorrow I was going to wake up as this brand new person. I still have the apps, the journals, and everything else. And to be honest, for a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks, I felt amazing. I felt great. And guess what? Life happened. Work got busy. I got tired. I missed a workout. I ordered lots of takeout. I overslept. It felt like my whole world at that point had fallen apart. Every Monday, we're starting over. Every month, we're buying another planner. Every January, we're making another promise to ourselves. And every single time something doesn't work, you don't question the plan. You question yourself. You tell yourself you're lazy. You tell yourself you don't have discipline. You tell yourself maybe you're just not one of those people who can actually change. And I absolutely hate that we have gotten to the place where that's the conclusion we automatically jump to. Because honestly, I know the feeling all too well. Because in all honesty, there was a point where I genuinely believed that I was the problem. I remember thinking, maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe everyone else has something that I don't. But looking back, that wasn't true. I wasn't failing because I couldn't change. I was failing because I kept trying to build someone else's life instead of building my own. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of you have sat in these shoes or are still sitting in these shoes. But I had a realization that changed everything that I want to share with you. Once I stopped trying to become somebody else, right? I could finally focus on becoming a healthier, stronger, more wiser version of myself. And there's a huge difference. Growth should never cost you your identity. It should reveal it. Your healthy life doesn't have to look like mine. And mine doesn't have to look like yours. Your habits should support your life, not what you see on someone's Instagram. I work full time. I'm trying to create content. I'm trying to improve my health. I'm trying to become more intentional with how I spend my time. So my routines have to fit the life that I actually live in. For example, I like to meal prep because meal prepping helps me save time to do other things like create content. Walking works for me on a walking pad because it's more realistic than me thinking about going to the gym constantly. Recording content like this, when I have the energy instead of forcing creativity every single day. None of these are flashy habits, but they're sustainable. And sustainable habits are usually the ones that change your life. So let me ask you something. Are you building habits that actually fit your life? Or are you building habits that look good for Instagram? Because those are not the same. One of those options creates lasting change, and the other one just creates constant comparison. I will say that another thing that I've learned is that we spend so much time chasing, and yes, chasing motivation, when what we really need is to be more aligned. When your goals match your values, when your habits fit the season that you're in right now, when you're building a life that actually makes sense for you, let me tell you, consistency becomes so much easier. And it's not because life suddenly gets easy, but it's because you're no longer fighting yourself every single day. And I want you to hear this if you're feeling any bit of discouragement. Stop quitting on yourself because you had one, and I mean one, bad day. One missed workout doesn't erase your progress. One unhealthy meal doesn't make you an unhealthy person. One bad week does not define you nor your future. Give yourself permission to be human. Learn the lesson. Make adjustments. Come back tomorrow. Stronger, better, wiser. That's what consistency actually is supposed to look like. Not perfection. Just getting back up over and over and over and over again. I think we've spent so much time chasing this imaginary future version of ourselves that we've forgotten to appreciate the person who's trying today in this moment, the person who's watching this video, the person who's willing to try again, the person who's learning, growing, messing up, getting back up. That version of you, she's already enough to begin. She's already enough to get you started and to keep you going. Maybe your next level isn't waiting for a brand new version of you. Maybe it's waiting for the current version of you to wake up and finally believe that she's enough to begin. Girl, if this has spoken to you in any way, shape, or form, I would love to know what parts stood out to you the most in the comments. And if you're ready to build habits that actually fit your life instead of chasing somebody else's, I've got another video that I think will help you take that next step. See you on the flip side.